In the ominous battle known as the Attack of the Dead Men, Russian soldiers faced off against German forces like creatures out of a nightmare. This terrifying event unfolded in 1915 during World War I, and it's a story that sounds like it could be on a dark heavy metal album cover. But this is not fiction, it's all too real. How did these soldiers come to resemble zombies? The haunting truth behind this harrowing tale is a testament to both the Kaiser's brutality and the bravery of those who stood their ground. What led to this blood-soaked and brutal clash? The battleground for this nightmarish assault was Osowiec Fort, located in northeast Poland. Built by the Russian Empire in centuries past, it proved to be an impenetrable obstacle in Germany's path toward conquest. Throughout World War I, they made multiple attempts to capture it, bombarding it with intense artillery fire. Even the Russians were astounded at how well it withstood such relentless attacks. Facing the formidable Osowiec Fort was no easy task for any potential invaders. The Russians had cleverly designed a complex defense system, consisting of 2 sets of trenches, walls, and battlements. This intricate layout made it nearly impossible for enemy forces to breach the fort without facing heavy resistance from skilled shooters. The fort's strategic design allowed the Russians to defend it with minimal troops. However, in August 1915, Kaiser Wilhelm II had made it his mission to eliminate this Russian stronghold. Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg led an impressive force that included 14 infantry battalions, a battalion of sappers tasked with digging trenches, approximately 30 heavy siege guns, and much more. But they weren't just armed with traditional weapons. To further ensure success, von Hindenburg had prepared a significant amount of chlorine gas canisters ready to be deployed against the enemy. All they needed now was favorable weather conditions to carry out their gruesome assault. When all the elements aligned and the wind blew in their favor, the assault on Osowiec Fort commenced. It was a terrifying moment as death loomed over both sides. The attackers driven by their determination to wipe out the enemy within these walls and the defenders bracing themselves for an onslaught they could barely comprehend. The Russians were filled with fear as they witnessed the horrifying effects of the chlorine gas. The cloud, green and yellow in color, moved ominously towards them, turning the grass black. If it could have such a devastating effect on vegetation, they knew it would be even worse for their own lungs. Despite being vastly outnumbered by thousands of Germans, the Russians took solace in the sturdy structure of Osowiec Fort. It had protected them before, and surely it would do so again. This time their enemy had a deadly weapon in their arsenal, a toxic cocktail specifically designed to inflict maximum damage. The inhalation of chlorine gas can have disastrous consequences as it reacts with the body's moisture to form hydrochloric acid. This deadly weapon seemed to spell doom for the Russians, who were being consumed by the air around them. Despite the devastating effects, 2nd Lieutenant Vladimir Kotlinski and his comrades refused to surrender. They endured unimaginable suffering, enduring gruesome injuries and coughing up parts of themselves as the acid ravaged their bodies. Nevertheless, they bravely charged at the enemy troops as they entered the fortress. Although Osowiec Fort ultimately fell, it was not due to German forces. The Russians later dismantled it themselves after realizing that their situation was hopeless. On that day, these soldiers managed to cheat death momentarily, successfully pushing back against the Kaiser's forces and preserving their strength for as long as humanly possible.